Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and rogue matter. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture, along with all the awesomeness that is on roguematter.com and the Rogue Matter app every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/roguematter, facebook.com/weareroguematter. This podcast then immediately gets posted to where all major podcasts are found: Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, iHeart, you name it, we're out there. I am your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my cohort in crime, the Lord of the Radio, ! Heck
yeah.
How you doing,
I
sir?
figured I'd make sure that everybody knew, since, it always varies whether you'll remember to address me rightfully.
Well, that's
the
good.
Lord of the Radio,
You
the life of the Lord
yes.
of the Radio is a tough one. It really is.
You are as emphatic with your names as you need to be, as you should be. I believe that you're right to do that.
It's only the way I'm addressed. It's kind of important, but all right.
It's like I'm just surprised you didn't do like the all caps thing. That would be the best part.
I'm not a, oh man,
that?
I was gonna say something terrible, but I'm not gonna do it.
So we got a great show today. We will do a rogue review of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. We will dive into sort of the controversy behind it a little bit. I think just people are kind of curious about is it a horror movie? Is it an MCU movie? Is it the MCU's first horror movie? So we've got thoughts about that as well. We're gonna dive into some sad news as well too. The passing of the great George Perez. We actually had done a rogue file on him a few months ago when we first found the news.
I think it was only weeks, actually.
Is it only a few weeks? I think it's
I think it was a few weeks ago.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, it was. I think it was longer than a few weeks, but shorter than a few months.
It's funny.
Weird limbo in the middle.
I was looking up the the files that we had used for the rogue files, and I felt like it was only a few weeks ago, but I think it actually was a few months ago that he was diagnosed. Either way, very short amount of time between between that. So we'll dive into that a little bit later as well too. But first, we're going to start off the show talking about the latest entry into the Rogue Matter family, which is look, you've got the creator right here, Time Trader number 3, live now on roguematter.com, and you can download it on your iPhone and your Android smartphone, which I should have included that in the graphics, which would have made a lot more sense for me to do that, but I was too busy creating a comic book. I can't do everything. I mean, I try.
You can't be expected to.
But I can't do everything.
Can't be expected to be smart.
So, cool thing about the timing of all this, and it's as if we planned this. With Doctor Strange coming out, the multiverse is huge right now. You've got Spider-Man, you've got all this cool stuff. We thought it would be fun to do the top multiverse movies of all time to tie into Time Trader. But first, what is Time Trader? It's a story about Dylan Sharpe. He can rewind time whenever he wants to. He goes to the stock market to cash in and quickly discovers that there is no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme. If you've read the first 2 issues, which are also live on Rogue Matter right now, roguematter.com and the Rogue Matter app, you'll find that he runs into an Illuminati of people just like him who've been running the stock market for years. And he has one choice. Does he join them or do they eradicate him from the time stream altogether? It's an easy choice, but now there are consequences to that. And that's where we roll in on issue 3. Shout out to Sharpe, who is the artist, and Andres Barrero, who jumped in as well to on this particular issue just to kind of give us some support to make sure that we got the book out in a timely fashion for all of our backers. It was successfully funded. Number 4 was just recently successfully funded and is going out to all the backers this week. So it's pretty exciting. I'm really proud of it.
Personally, I personally hate when I run into the Illuminati. I really do. So I mean, I'm interested to find out exactly how our hero deals with this particular problem, because this happens to me every time I go to the store. All right, so that's annoying. It's very annoying.
Well, agreed, and I try to build my entire day around not running into the Illuminati. But as it turns out, I'm not very special, so they want no part of me. so really, it's almost an insult if you don't run into the Illuminati.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple of shots of some of the pages that Sharpe did for us as well too. Colorist was Bee's Studio, and also Wan Cho with an exclamation point, which is ironic that you're a big exclamation point guy, because we definitely have that as well too.
We are a growing community, the exclamation point people.
Oh, I was going to say that. I thought you said the Rogue Matter community, but no, just the exclamation point.
Well, I mean, we are Rogue. We are part of it. So
so
take it over.
Just to and I know people don't necessarily need to hear me gushing over my own work, but some really cool moments. Like, I think when you create a book, and you're a writer as well as a great artist, and you're going to be featured next week. So I'm pretty excited about that as well too, because then the shoe goes on the other foot, so they say. When you write something, you don't know necessarily how it's going to pan out, but you envision these like scenes, these moments, like these jaw-dropping moments. And there was one in particular that we just flashed on screen that it hits. And the cool part is I read my stuff like months after, like it's finished. Like I need like that separation. I don't know if you have the same kind of thing, but I'm sure creators out there do this where I don't know. I mean, I'll pull this.
No, I'll like after a while, the afterglow of the furnace of creation or creativity kind of burns out a little bit, and you come back to it fresh.
Yeah.
While the internal fires are kind of cold, and you're experiencing it for the first time almost.
Yeah.
And
it's true.
It's an interesting place to be. It's really fascinating.
You read it not as the guy who wrote it, or
Right.
gal, if you're the gal who wrote it, you read it as like, wow, I'm reading this comic book and I hope it turned out good. And there's some moments in 3 where I'm like, yeah, all right, that really dropped. So it's pretty cool. So once again, check it out on roguematter.com. You can read it for free there. Download the app, register a user profile, and you can read it for free on that too. So it's pretty cool. Rogue Matter is all free. I mean, somehow I got paid, but I don't know how they get paid, but it's not my concern. The check's cleared, right?
That's the end of your altruism right there.
Well,
it just came to it. And,
that's all I can do. All right. So we've got the best multiverse movies of all time. And so again, Time Trader is more about rewinding time. However, there is a scene in issue 2 where she's like, yeah, if we don't keep track of this, you could create alternate realities. And Doctor Strange, which we'll review later, was all about multiverses. So, which is basically alternate realities. Is there a difference, Hassan, between an alternate reality and a multiverse? A multiverse is a universe of alternate realities, right?
It is. I think an alternate reality is the euphemism for a multiverse before everybody started using multiverse or everybody started using alternate realities to the extent where we had to invent a name for the phenomenon, which is the multiverse.
Got it.
That's what it, because there's also alternate timelines, which is not exactly the same as an alternate reality.
So alternate timelines would be just one timeline.
Yeah, you're still in your reality if you've altered time. It's just an altered perception of the way things happened previously. But an alternate reality is
okay.
And then theoretically, every possibility, you woke up in the morning, you spilled coffee on yourself. There is another universe out there where you woke up that morning and didn't spill any coffee.
Okay. Well, it's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that because the head honcho, the enigmatic Mr. Rogue himself, always thinks of Time Trader as a time travel book. And I'm like, it's not really a time travel book, and it's not really a multiverse book.
Well, it's got time in it, so that that's
right.
That's
right. And I keep explaining to him, I'm like, no, it's about rewinding time. It's about being able to basically like if you walk into like a meet, like let's say you have a big interview, Hassan, right? Like you have to actually get a real job and you have to like, and you have to ace this interview, right? Or a date. Let's make it even personal, right? And you really want to impress, like you would basically be able to get a do-over whenever you wanted to. And that's the crux of it. It's like this ultimate
that time travel though.
But
it's traveling backwards in time.
It is, except you retain all the memories. So you see, you're not you get to rewrite it, but you get to remember everything you did wrong.
Yeah, but which is what time travelers do.
I guess so. But it's not like
Marty McFly remembered 1985.
Right, but there could be 2 of them. Theoretically speaking, if he traveled back in time and then fast forwarded, up to 1985. He saw himself get in the DeLorean and go away. There's
So
time paradoxes.
this
In
particular
this
character is
case,
unfixed in time, so he can go anywhere in time and not create a doppelganger of himself and not overlap his steps
but
from.
it's possible that there could be two of him running around. In this reality that I've created, he can't do
No.
that.
That's what I'm saying. Your particular character cannot overlap his steps.
Correct.
In
No.
time travel.
Exactly. He has total control over that. So,
Gotcha.
but anyway, multiverse.
So it is still time travel, but it's like it's extreme time travel.
Yes.
It's time travel.
It's godlike control over the time stream.
Fair enough.
How's that?
Right. Okay. Right.
So
you're the inventor. You can call it whatever you want.
I got to come up with a new name now. instead of a multiverse, I got to figure it out. All right. Digital Trends. I went online and found this. Digital Trends had the best alternate reality movies. If you type in multiverse movies, nothing comes up. Like Into the Spider-Verse comes up, and that's about it. Because the term, I think
the term is brand new.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So I think if I gotta.
Well, it's brand new in the last say 20 to 25 years. It's not a brand new. And then the theory's been around forever, but it coming into the mainstream zeitgeist as a phenomenon, and them labeling it multiverse. And I think the first time I heard the word multiverse was in my pick of the greatest alternate reality movie, which we'll get to.
Yeah. So this one had a few that I thought were honorable mentions. You don't agree with this one, Inception?
That's not really a multiple. That's not a multiple dimension movie, and
it's like a dream world. It's an alternate reality. I mean,
alternate reality and multiverse, and an alternate dimension is because this is a dream. I mean, Inception is mosely an alternate perception of reality.
Yeah.
So they're not in another reality.
Then the Matrix is the same thing then, right? Like where it's not really a multiverse because it's just a different reality. Okay.
That's not another dimension, Okay. That's another plane of consciousness.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. I'm going to go with one that I think definitely counts though, right? Is the butterfly effect. Does that count?
Technically, yeah.
Now, is this the best Ashton Kutcher movie of all time?
Well, it's the best one I've seen, and also, ironically, the only one I've seen. So I'm going to go with yes.
Did you watch Jobs? Did you see him as Steve Jobs? Was it Jobs?
No, I did not.
He was really good in that. I got to be honest. Okay. He's a very surprised. He's an unassuming, like you just assume he's kind of a skater-ish.
I'm casting no shade on him. I just the butterfly effect was was a hard science fiction movie.
Yeah.
A noir science fiction movie, and that's my wheelhouse. So that's why I saw it. And I'm not into a movie about him being Steve Jobs or one or two of the other comedies that he's done.
Very possible. His best movie was Butterfly Effect. My favorite was Dude, Where's My Car, though. I mean, that just goes without, Yeah.
What about the Butterfly Effect makes that a great alternate reality movie? It's more. It's not a multi-dimensional movie.
No, it's not multi-dimensional.
It's him using his capacity, if I remember it correctly, his capacity to alternate time.
Yeah.
Alternate the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly. For better results, but it's it's ever diminishing returns, I think. Correct. In that situation, right?
Yeah.
Because he's it's one of those, the more you use it, the worse things get, because you can't fix reality, right? Okay, I'm piecing it together as I remember it. It's been a long time since I've seen it.
All right, the last one on this list that I've seen that I like was Donnie Darko. And Digital Trends described it this: at first, Donnie Darko seems like nothing but an off-kilter tale about a mentally ill teenager and his disturbing hallucinations. But as the story unfolds, the titular hero proves to be experiencing something potentially apocalyptic involving time travel, destiny, and the creepiest rabbit suit you're likely to see in this or any other dimension. I remember watching Donnie Darko. I remember loving Donnie Darko. I don't remember what that hook of Donnie Darko is, though. So
I think they just said that the hook is that everything that you think he's crazy, right, that makes him crazy is actually really happening.
Right.
But he's also kind of crazy.
Right. No, I know that's the hook, but I'm saying like the catch, like the punchline, like the, whatever the
Yeah, I think the punchline is just because you're crazy doesn't mean you're not seeing
Right.
reality. You're not, things
Right.
are not. Or what's that classic saying? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
Correct. Right. Right.
Yeah.
I remember that too. So, but you don't particularly like Johnny Darko, right?
I think it's overrated
Mm.
in my personal opinion, and it's got another one of those non-linear narratives where it can be interpreted a million ways, and so everybody applies their own meaning to it, and those kind of get on my nerves.
Hmm.
Those kind of make me kind of ill, because it's like, look, just tell
You
me.
just don't like popular opinion. Like you are,
No,
you
no,
are.
I am not a
You don't do
contrarian.
this. You
I
don't
am
do this
not.
intentionally. You don't. You do, but you do tend to do that though, right? Like you tend to internally like get turned
I
off
just
if too many people like something.
to be honest with you, I just explained to you what the problem is. You're making it a completely different thing.
You
I
sure?
explained to you what the problem with the movie, what my problem with the movie was, and
Yeah.
you're making it into like a personal thing. So
Okay.
I'm getting off.
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
going there with you.
All right.
Uh, because I mean, here's the thing you do. I praise things on a regular basis, and you just
Mm-hmm.
ignore them, and then claim that I never do.
And you
So,
don't praise enough of what I like. That's why.
well, I mean, because you like a lot of garbage.
So the funny part about, and this is gonna sound terrible too, though, right? Because I could just watch it on HBO Max, but I DVR'd it too because I still have cable because I like
What's the
cable.
matter with you? You
I,
should cut the cord, man.
no, but I like having just I don't know. I
We
like
already had this discussion though in Philly about cutting the
yes,
cord and
yeah,
how we're being robbed and
yeah,
and destroyed because we cut the cord.
yeah,
So everybody who already cut the cord is now is now mortgaging their homes just to buy another streaming service.
correct.
As they're all apparently, as that business model is starting to come into question because of the Netflix fiasco.
Very
So
true as well.
yeah, so who knows what the future
That's
will
what, but
maybe don't cut the cord.
that just shows you like what a short memory theater we're living in these days because literally Netflix has surpassed all expectations up until like one quarter. Like one quarter was like, hey, we thought we would lose a little. We turned out we lost a lot because our growth was sustained by a pandemic, that hasn't been seen in 100 years before they had Netflix back then with Spanish flu. And everyone's like, well, turns out streaming just isn't going to work anymore, is it? And you're like, whoa,
Well,
guys, like overreaction theater here, right?
it's like Jesus said, man, you're only as good as your next miracle.
Yeah, I guess I
It's
didn't know he
actually
said
not
that.
what Jesus said,
I
but
didn't know
it's
that.
musicians. My mother is in the music industry, and you're only as good as your last hit.
It's true.
You're only as good as your last hit.
It's
So
like the wine was good. It's a little bitter though, so it's not as good as your last wine.
yeah, exactly. Like,
I feel
but
like
I made wine, jerk, out of
yeah.
water. So like when you can do that, then you can judge. But it's also there's been whenever there's someone who's the king, you know, and in the stream of consciousness is that this person is infallible
Mhm.
and unstoppable. You're gonna get everybody overlooking their issues and their ailments and their problems until that person slips a little.
Yeah.
So Netflix has been dying from 1,000 cuts for a long time. They're canceling shows
Right.
like and pissing people off, even
Yep.
though the ratings are good and whatever.
Yep.
They are they're raising their prices on a regular basis. They've got mostly foreign material on foreign shows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Now that's not a problem,
Right.
but they haven't had like one of those. They haven't had like a Stranger Things kind of phenomenon hit
In a while.
or HBO kind of level,
Yeah.
must see television kind of thing in a long time. So there's a number of things that are contributing factors. Not only that, but then as soon as they slip up, people got
Yeah.
a lot of complaints. Things to
Yeah.
complain about.
Yeah. No, I agree with that as well too. All right. Before we wrap, what is your top multiverse movie of all time?
My top multiverse movie of all time is The One with Jet Li, or starring
Which one?
Jet Li.
Oh, that
The
one.
one. Don't who's on first me, dude. I'm already ready for you. Um and actually this is the first movie I've ever heard the term multiverse in.
Yeah.
and the concept is amazing. I'm surprised that a lot more people haven't like kind of. I mean, maybe because it was done in the one, nobody wants to rip it off. But the concept behind it was there's this particular
Do
character.
you want to read the? I have the.
No, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what it is because I'll try to be quicker. There's a particular character, Jet Li plays. I forget what his name is, and he knows about the multiverse, and he's discovered that all strength and power in the universe is distributed throughout the multiverse. So if he kills one of his alternates, he gets that person's power. So his goal was to kill every other incarnation of himself in all the multiverses so that he could be the one with all the power, and he becomes godlike. And that was the concept behind it. And it was a great concept.
Yeah. I might have to go rewatch this if I have not seen it.
I
remember the movies.
And of course, Jet Li comes down to fighting Jet Li.
Right.
Because there's only two of them trying to become the one.
Right.
And so it's got a great ending. I think that the ending of the film is fantastic.
Doctor Strange comes in.
He does. Surprisingly played by Benedict Cumberbatch all the way back in 2001. Who knew?
Amazing, right?
Who knew?
I know.
The MCU is something else, man.
Kevin Feige is so ahead of the game. It's not even funny. All right. What do you guys
He's using the multiverse. That's why.
What are your favorite multiverse movies? I was gonna do stories, but if you type in multiverse stories, books come up, and I'm gone.
Yeah, then you're lost, right? It's literature. No,
I'm like, what is this?
Does that have pictures?
Time Trader comes up though, so it's great. Now, so let us know if you're following us in the chat. Chat along on YouTube. Chat along on Facebook. We will write back to you. We're on Twitch also and Twitter, but for some reason I just can't pay attention that much to 8 different streams. I can only focus on 2. So
you can't even focus on one. Trust me.
Not well.
No,
not very
no,
not very well. Coming up next, we are going to say goodbye to an industry legend, and we're going to talk to some creators who also get to say their goodbyes as well too when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. Just a reminder, of course, go to roguematter.com. Everything up there is free to consume. We've also got the release of another podcast. Today starts the Badass Babes podcast. It's really cool. We'll get a little more in depth with it next week, but it's 2 working ladies in the entertainment industry, and just knocking down barriers and talking to interesting women creators out in Los Angeles who are trying to make it, spotlight their favorites, or they bring on interesting guests. And one of the things they definitely do is make sure to highlight the women in their lives that have helped pave the way for their success too. So it's open to both genders and beyond, but it's also a very amazing female empowerment podcast. Also, again, if you're just interested in getting into the business, Brenda, who is the host, she does this. She runs a talent agency out there as well too. So she's just got tons of industry insights, and it's definitely worth a listen. First season was out. It's now been brought over to Rogue Matter, and the second season starts with today, actually. All right, the comics industry lost a legend. I mean, this is 2 weeks in a row, ironically. I know these things kind of happen in threes, but hopefully it doesn't. We lost Neil Adams last week, and industry, icon George Perez, he passed away this weekend at the age of 67. Very, again, we did a Rogue File episode about him, and again, it was, if it was not weeks ago, it was a short while ago. So that kind of just shows you pancreatic cancer is deadly. So please support, research on this, because finding a cure would be amazing. I've had friends, friends of my family who have also passed away from pancreatic cancer. And yeah, it is It is swift
Me.
and it is generally deadly, which is not good news for anybody. But anyway, so what we wanted to do instead of going into his past was just to kind of highlight some of the creators around the industry that were saying goodbye to them, that people took to Twitter. Hassan, I mean, I know you and I spoke about, you never actually met him though, am I correct?
I've never actually been able to meet him, unfortunately.
At Wizard, so full disclosure, Hassan and I worked for Wizard magazine. We both got to meet a lot of creators, and I did get to meet George Perez, and I loved George Perez. I loved his artwork. His artwork to me always inspires me to draw. I am a quasi comic book artist. I can draw, but not consistently and not great. But when I was a kid, I dove into a lot of his Marvel work, some of his independent work as well too. That just, seeing his line work and seeing his artwork just made me want to pick up a pencil, and draw. And that's like the biggest testament I can give to any, artist, is to be like, it's one thing to go like, wow, I really think his work is great. It's another thing to be like, his work makes me want to do what he's doing.
Get behind the wheel and see
Right?
if you can. Yeah. I think I did. I'm not telling the truth. I did meet him once. My exchange was that he was at a particular booth in one of the Chicago shows, and I said, "Do you want these here, Mr. Perez?" But there was and he was very nice. He said yes, and that was and I dropped off a stack of comic books for him, and that was it. That was my interaction with him. But it was a very pleasant interaction with him. Yeah, absolutely. Anybody who kind of is the embodiment of the craft that they're doing, and who inspires people, and who's genuinely pleasant and genuinely receptive to the compliments and to the contributions that they made. People bestowing adulation on them because of the contributions that they've made, and I mean that's invaluable, right? When you meet him, you're inspired by someone.
Yes.
When you meet that particular person, and that person inspires you more by being an authentic human being.
Yeah.
That that the exchange is rewarding in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And if he made you want to go home and try to be an artist, then I mean, there's no greater contribution, I think, than anyone who is an artist can do. Can be, as opposed to like, I don't know, curing a disease or something like that.
Yeah.
Inspiring other people to be creative is the is the kind of the highest honor. And look, I've been looking all over the place. He's everywhere. This stuff is everywhere. He touched thousands of people, and people knew this was coming. It was a little bit unlike Neil Adams, unfortunately.
Right.
George Perez, made an announcement a couple of months ago now, that he was no longer going to seek treatment, and he was just going to go home and and be and be with his family. And we were all like, yeah, I guess this is, that's kind of him, waving goodbye to everybody. And then, you're always just kind of shocked that it happened so fast.
Yeah.
And it's worse because you knew it was going to happen, and it still messes you up, So a lot of people are feeling it.
Well, let me just, on the subject of time, again, this is kind of the theme for the whole episode. Reading on the Beat website, he was diagnosed back in late 2021. We did the Rogue File very shortly after that, the week or two after it was announced. So it had to have been, I mean, this whole year has gone by fast. So it's probably been about 6 months since his diagnosis to when he actually, finally passed from it. So, but you're right. I mean, it's one of those things like, wow, that happened fast. 6 months is still very, very fast. But it feels literally like we did that Rogue File like 2 weeks ago, in my brain. So it's kind of funny that you feel the same way in terms of like, how short a time ago that we were talking about this to when it actually happened. So some creators took to social media. Kurt Busiek, I'm so glad to have known and worked with George, and glad he was able to see and hold the new JLA Avengers edition and know how much he meant to readers everywhere. It was an honor and privilege. The two of them had collaborated on Avengers. Kurt Busiek and George Perez are actually hailed as rebooting Avengers to the point where Brian Michael Bendis took it over for Disassembled, and in the 2000s, Avengers became kind of the stalwart comic that we know in the movies. But back then it was dead and buried in 1998 when he and Busiek took it over. So it's it's testament to him that he helped revitalize it to the point where it's viable into movies now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kiddies, you don't remember a time when Captain America was lame. It was true. Mark Wade, I don't really have much to say about the great George Perez that others this morning haven't said better or more eloquently, but I'm glad for his sake. His suffering is at last over, and I'm grateful I was able to visit him and remind him of how much of an honor it was to work with him. Rest in peace. Jerry Ordway, another famous artist, very sad to hear the great artist and writer George Perez has passed away. No one could do what George did. His enthusiasm for comics, his ability to give added value to any plot or script is a testament to his storytelling. Marvel gave their condolences online. Phil Jimenez did as well too. Even the likes of Linda Carter. He was a true visionary who took Wonder Woman to new heights. We forget he is also an artist that managed to impact both Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
In a truly meaningful way. I mean, maybe you could definitely argue Jim Lee did this, is maybe someone that comes to mind that did it. But it's really like the I feel like Jim Lee's art is what will be remembered at Marvel, and Jim Lee, the executive, maybe his Batman, would be what's remembered from him at DC. George Perez was the creator that impacted both Marvel and DC in just unbelievably huge ways. So, I mean, again, it really speaks.
Yeah, he's a monster,
Yeah.
like even if I haven't met him, I knew exactly who, he's,
Yep.
You could feel his presence, even when he's not around, especially in a comic book convention on the floor of of Artist Alley or whatnot. I mean, his influence is everywhere.
Yep.
So absolutely.
Yep. And the list just goes on and on. So again, we at Rogue Wave offer our condolences to the Perez family. We will never understate the impact he's made on both of us and just comic industry in general. So that's pretty much the only thing we can do is pass on condolences and go check out his work. His work will live forever, and that's maybe the one bright positive note to all this, right? Is we can definitely do that. We're going to take a short break, and then we are going to dive into the movie everyone is talking about, the movie everyone is going to see as well. We will do a Rogue review, Doctor Strange, coming up next. So Hassan, welcome back to Rogue Wave, by the way, everyone. That song.
I was always here. What are you welcoming me back for?
Welcome back. Our audience is here.
I know.
Just in case they had to run to the bathroom because they watch us religiously, all 7 of them.
I think there's 8 now, Michael.
Oh, well, no, you can't count Erin, our producer and engineer. She's literally getting paid to be
being held hostage.
She's being paid to be here. So, so that song, by the way, if everybody's unaware, which I've mentioned it numerous times, is actually music composed by, I won't say me because I don't actually, I play the drums, though I did craft some of the songs on drums, gave it to Hassan to then fill in a bass line too. So I'll take co-credit for that, but not that particular riff. I have a version of that. I have a finished version of that song that just dropped into my inbox from our drummer, by the way, Hassan.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we are
we're we're 9 years away from
We are
finally
mixing and
completing
no, we're
that
in the
album.
master. We're getting ready to master. So some cool stuff. Some music from the Rogue Wave podcast is gonna make its way out
And
into
yes,
the
Aaron,
world.
you count as 8.
Yeah,
I count you as 8.
I love it. I love it. All right, so the big film that dropped, obviously the next installment of MCU, Doctor Strange. It cast a $185 million opening
Failure,
weekend.
though.
What?
It's a failure.
What do you
You
mean?
know, like as we all know, I have sort of a grudging love hate with the punditry, the movie and pop culture
Okay,
punditry, um, on the YouTubes and Twitch and various other
got it.
streaming services,
I like that you shout out
and
Twitch. That's good.
because the movie didn't kind of come out to the phenomenon that they were hoping it would be, that they had built it up in their own headcanons that it would be. The movie itself, their
Oh, the
experience with the
pundits. The
movie.
pundits.
Yeah.
Got it.
Who do you think I was talking about? Anyway,
I thought you meant Marvel for a second, but go ahead.
no, because it didn't come out as as a phenomenon that they thought it was going to be, like, say, Far From Home,
Mm-hmm.
not Far From Home, No Way
No
Home.
Way Home. Yeah,
No
I
Way
know
Home.
what you meant. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, the people out there don't, so you gotta clarify.
They need
No
to
Way
watch
Home,
more.
like No Way Home turned into just a monster, like a super phenomenal, like, family home experience with a lot of twists and turns, and
Mm-hmm.
the return of various past outdated actors who played the characters. I'm saying that all wrong,
Yeah.
but anyway, it was a big deal. So everyone built Multiverse of Madness into some kind of monster. It was going to be some extravaganza. It was going to usher in the back half of the
Mm-hmm.
Phase 4, and just totally blow the doors off. And it was, according to them, in their words,
Mm-hmm.
only a good movie. It wasn't a phenomenal movie. So what's weird is it's a movie that made almost $200 million in its first weekend. And they're like, well, we'll see how quick it drops off next week, because, and I'm like, any other movie, you'd be saying that's 200 million. If they love this movie, they'd be like, this is going to destroy everything. It's going to decimate all. It will be the most nonstop movie that anyone has ever movied, as hard as the movies can movie. And all of a sudden, there's shade on it because it didn't do for them what they thought it was going to do. So, like, the punditry is never honest about, like, because, I mean, $200 million in its first weekend is a success.
Yeah, of course.
If it drops off and doesn't make $1 billion, that happens. The Batman, which I loved, didn't make $1 billion, didn't get to the $1 billion club. So that doesn't make it a failure. That doesn't mean they're not going to greenlight more Batman movie, So I'm pretty sure you're going to count, especially in comparison to what Multiverse did in comparison to the original Doctor Strange movie.
Oh yeah,
it blew the doors off. For
absolutely.
any sequel to make this much money on coming out of the gate, that's a success. I don't care how you feel about the film.
Yeah,
let's not kid ourselves about whether or not it's a financial success at this point. Is it going to break all records and become the greatest movie of all time? Probably not. Financially, probably not. But that doesn't mean it's not a success. And I don't understand the weird shade that people are
look,
throwing
there's a
on
difference between being financially successful and then also being creatively successful, or creatively satisfying.
I get the difference. I totally get it. Like, we're about to discuss the goods and the bads of film. I'm not equating that. I'm not saying that the movie is great because it made money.
Right.
I'm saying that the narrative of it is really skewed because it is a movie that some people didn't like, but it's still making money. And so all of a sudden, just because it's making money isn't good enough to call it a success. Yeah. Whereas if there's a movie that they loved and it was making this much money, it is a rousing, so it is just the narrative is very strange. Huh?
Isn't that kind of logical? I mean, it's all the eye of the beholder.
The whether or not something is a box office success is predicated only on the numbers that it's doing.
Right.
Right.
No, I know. I'm saying if somebody's not, I mean,
No, no,
if
no.
somebody
What
comes
I'm
out of the gate and
saying
says,
is
"I didn't like it,"
I
you
didn't
know, it
like
doesn't
it,
matter.
but you can't say it's not a success, is what I'm saying. You
Right.
know, like some movies are not financially successful, but you can't say it's not a piece of art. You know,
Right.
I very much enjoyed this movie. I think it's a great fixture in the zeitgeist.
Sure.
Whatever big words you want to use about any movie, but it didn't make any money. You know, there's 100 movies that I've loved that made absolutely no money and will never see a sequel to.
The
So
One.
the one made its money. We're just never going to see a sequel to. Hey, stop it! Don't editorialize. But
I'm supporting you.
it's just funny, the narrative, the way it changes, and then what happens is the narrative will change again, because if it doesn't suffer the drop off that everyone's expecting it to, because they think everyone thinks like them, and once they realize they've been duped into seeing a bad Doctor Strange movie, then the numbers are going to drop off.
Mhm.
And then they'll be like, see, but if the numbers don't drop off, they'll suddenly be like, well, as I predicted, regardless of how I feel about this movie, it was a success, and it is, it's going into the pantheon of the greatest movies of all time. So it's just a bunch of
Well,
disingenuousness.
let's
In
go.
my opinion.
Let's take a look by the numbers too. It was 185 million. It it ranks the 11th biggest domestic launch in history. So that's from director Sam Raimi, who now I think is, if you adjust for inflation,
And that was another thing. It just failed to get into the top 10. You see how people how
well,
people
look at
skew
this
the
list here.
facts and
Look at
figures.
this list. You have Age of Ultron, Black Panther, the Avengers, the original Avengers, Avengers Infinity War,
Hmm.
Spider-Man No Way Home, and
Hmm.
Avengers Endgame.
Hmm.
Not adjusted for inflation. The latter three top the overall list of the biggest openings.
Hmm.
So I mean, it's in good company for first of
It's
all.
in good company, but instead of saying it's in good company, it didn't make the top 10.
It's also managing to be a huge victory for Hollywood and for theater owners as the
Hmm.
2022 box office season officially kicks off after more than 2 years of fits and starts due to COVID. Studios are finally ready to release a parade of delayed tentpoles. So now, so in a way, we're the biggest winners now too, because nothing,
Yeah, we're
the
gonna
whole
get a
idea
lot
of
of content. We're gonna
yeah, the
just
whole
sit.
idea of delays, is subsiding. People are going to the box office. They're proving that if you make something, worthy to get out of the house, they're going to do it. Um, and that's a big winner. Now, the one controversy was, of course, is it too dark for PG-13? This is from Hollywood Reporter. There was a raging debate on social media about whether the intense, dark, and violent themes of the MCU film deserved an R rating rather than a PG-13. It created such a stir. The topic was trending on Twitter on Sunday. I don't think it's dark. I don't think it's darker than anything we watched in the
What's darker than
1980s.
Loki stabbing Coulson in the back with
Right.
the scepter or whatever that thing was? Come on.
Does that just
And
show
then Nick Fury apparently dipping the baseball cards into blood so that he could shame the Avengers into being the Avengers.
right?
That is the most macabre thing I've ever actually
No, but I mean,
seen in a Marvel movie.
think about like movies in the 1980s that had PG ratings that you look at it by today's standard, if they would be bellowing and barking, you know, whether or not that was an actual too dark movie. You know what I mean? Like there's so many movies that we watched when we were kids that had like, whoa, that went. I mean, Superman 3 is to this day still gives me nightmares. When the woman gets like
Oh,
overcome
really?
by like the robot and she's walking out and it's all creepy. Dude, that scared the bleep
Oh,
out
man,
of me,
I haven't
man.
thought of that in
Like,
years. I haven't thought of. No, there's some scary stuff in movies. I look. Uh, I could see the point of like going from, if you're looking at all these movies as, instead of franchises, you're looking at all these movies as all sequels of themselves, right?
yeah,
I could see going from Spider-Man to this movie
yeah,
and being like, what the heck? If
yeah,
you're not into the tonal shift. I get that. I
yeah.
guess I don't think it's over the top by any stretch of the imagination, but I could see, like, if you're expecting something else, and this is what happens always. This is usually what the problem is. You go into something expecting one thing, you got another. And now you cannot judge that thing on its own merits. You judge it on the merits of your expectations. And you're not, and a lot of times you're not wrong for expecting that, because that's what they sold you. So if they sold like, oh, another MCU movie, just like your favorite Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and then you go, yeah, and you go running in there, and it's like, there's zombies and, and hell demons and people getting cut in half, with shields and stuff like that, then you're like, okay, this is I brought my kid here and now I have to go pay for therapy. So I get it.
But that's what I'm saying. Is this a more of a commentary on social media, really? Because obviously
everything is a commentary on social media,
right? Because everything kind of moves its way onto social media, and this gives us representation. I think that audiences are softer than they were 20, 30 years ago, to which case this would even be a debate. Like, to me, if there's no F-bomb in it, then it's not even a debate.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I get it. I don't know. I don't think, like I said, I just don't think it was over the top. I can understand you going in thinking you were going to get something completely different. It's like going to see Tron and you got the Babysitters Club and you're like, you know what, you advertised something completely different. But I get that, but I don't think it's anything super over the top.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And quite,
in one of these movies, half the population of the world was killed. I mean, it was done in a really benign way.
Well, this was done with zombies though, and that's what got it.
Yeah, and it's like, look, spoiler, it's one zombie,
right?
It's not a horde of zombies, like, and the zombie doesn't even eat flesh or is it's so I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I also think. Yes, there's some macabre. Is it macabre? Macabre?
Yeah, macabre.
Yeah, macabre elements to it. There's some unseemly elements to it. There is some dark elements to it.
There's stuff to it.
But I would not call it in any way, shape, or form like an R-rated movie. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
No, it's not.
If you throw in some curse words, maybe, but if you got no curse words, this is basically House 2. So, I'm not.
And gore. Like, if you throw in some swear words and gore and maybe some nudity, because that used to be with it, then all of a sudden, what are we watching? What's happening?
No,
but this is not. I mean, Deadpool was worse than this.
Correct. Well, that was an R-rated movie, though.
That's what I'm saying. Deadpool was way worse, and it was visibly.
Yeah.
It was visibly more edgy than this was. So.
Exactly. All right, let's dive into the actual meat of it. I saw a meme which I thought was funny from friend of the show, Victoria Bennett, Bevan herself, who is the host, by the way, of Tales from Tundo and the upcoming Seal of Fire companion podcast. So download those on the Rogue Banner Network. I always take the opportunity to shout us out. But she had a good meme. She had a someone holding a Trojan horse, and on the top it was labeled Doctor Strange, but then inside is Evil Dead 4. So I think it's just because of who the director is that you're getting this kind of commentary. And no, don't get me wrong. You had the Bruce Campbell cameo, which was hilarious. You had a lot of the signature Sam Raimi style
there's
horror
a lot of
elements to it.
There's Raimi-isms, but there were Whedon-isms in the Whedon movies, and there's Russo-isms in the Russo movies. That's you're going to get those.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I think ultimately it was still just a movie. Now, what I will say, having really carefully thought about it, my overall impression was that I enjoyed it, right? My overall impression, I walked out there saying, thank goodness, at least, in the typical Marvel fashion, they are consistently pushing boundaries in some ways of telling types of stories through their superhero characters. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So you could argue whether or not the MCU is pushing any boundaries because it still has the typical, infomercial for the next movie and, who's going to cameo and, this and that. I mean, there is that, right? There is just elements to that we can't escape. We won't give away the big cameo there's a few. What would you say if you're trying to read my mind right now, Hassan? 2 cameos that are huge, or would you go the entire Illuminati as a giant Easter egg for you?
Well, I mean, there's only 2 that we know of. Everybody else was kind of a new addition, right? So I guess those are the only 2 that were huge.
Right.
That's what makes those 2 huge.
Yeah. Exactly. So, I do like that they tied in the What If series. That was, but back to the point of animation doesn't really matter. if you had not seen it, I don't think you miss a beat with Captain Carter or with, but you know.
Yeah, I'm not entertaining your animation doesn't matter stuff. So whatever.
So
Never.
So that being said, there were elements that are typical Marvel, which is just, set up the next one. Everyone can't wait for when mutants and when the Fantastic Four and when all the Fox characters get to be assimilated into the films. So, there are hints that these things are coming, and people will enjoy that, and people will, it's going to be Deadpool, by the way. You realize that, right?
I don't know. Who knows? I do not know. I will not speculate. But
I'm saying it's going to be Deadpool that brings them all. Like, he's going to go on some sort of multiverse adventure.
I will not speculate. I think I will say this. I think they need to hurry up. I think I know they got plans to do this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. Like, the world we're living in is actually moving faster than it was in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe get on with it, or give us more than a hint that it's coming.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's look. I'm not the businessman that they are, so
the actual crux of the story itself, there's not much to it, to be honest with you. And it also is. So it's interesting, on the topic of, if you didn't watch the What If series, do you lose anything of the story here? The answer is no, in my opinion. However, if you did not watch WandaVision, I gotta wonder, what is the impact? Like how impactful is this villain for you? Because the villain for you, all of her characterization, all of her context, save for just a flashback, was done in the WandaVision series for the most part. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's maybe a scene or two where she's arguing with Doctor Strange about why she's doing what she's doing. But for the most part, I feel like the real impact of it came already and went in WandaVision. My dad, who comes to me to all these films, was kind of like, oh, I never, he doesn't have Disney Plus. He's like, he's like, I don't even remember her. He's like, I don't even know why, I mean, he felt it enough to enjoy the movie, but, I'm curious out there, if, what your take would be if you had not seen WandaVision, how much impact does the villain have in this movie for you? I'm curious about your take.
Asking me? You said yes. You said I'm wondering out there. So, like, it doesn't seem like it's like you're asking the audience. You're not.
Well, I'm curious about your take. Like, if your take is like how much impact do you think? Like,
I think WandaVision, is a seriously needed component to understanding what's the events of this movie. But look, the movies aren't. People got to get out of the past, man. Movies aren't what they used to be, right? Movies aren't this one-time experience. People are aiming past the fence. People are aiming for the experience, the ongoing experience of these films. These films are going to be, available in perpetuity on a streaming service with WandaVision, in the same streaming service with WandaVision. So, in theory, after the initial impact of this movie is done, if you want information from the past, all you have to do is go watch WandaVision, and then it will automatically, once the last episode of WandaVision airs, it will automatically take you right to Multiverse of Madness, and that's kind of the system that they're trying to build.
Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty fair statement. When you think of it like that, though, I keep thinking to myself, at the end of the day, was there really much to this movie? I mean, it essentially was just a giant chase. Thoroughly entertaining, kind of a cool.
As opposed to what, though? What are people saying that? I mean, as opposed to what else was supposed to be in the movie?
No, well, again,
what else did the movie promise?
It's not essential, because in this particular case, it's Doctor Strange. It's not necessarily something where I'm some people were wondering, it's too bad they didn't make a movie about Doctor Strange. He was more of a vehicle for the other characters in the film.
But he's been in like 5 other films, up to now, and he had his own origin film.
Yep.
And how many movies are about? I mean, Winter Soldier wasn't about Captain America,
right?
It had Captain America and Black Widow and the Winter Soldier and Nick Fury and, so.
Well, if you look at Winter Soldier is a great example, though, right? Everything that happened really was a direct emotional impact to what Captain America and that character in terms of Bucky, coming back from the dead, Shield being overrun by Hydra agents. I mean, that is Captain America's world. This is more along the lines of, if you think about it, Doctor Strange being on the sideline, but the real drama was all about America Chavez and Wanda, right?
No,
I mean, that
America
seemed to
Chavez
be
was the MacGuffin, right?
Mhm,
Wanda's the villain.
mhm,
Doctor Strange is the hero that kind of protected America Chavez until she was able to, level up and defend herself.
right.
She's not the focus of the film. That's incorrect,
Well,
in my opinion. I mean, if it wasn't for him, she'd have been dead. If it wasn't for the other versions of him, she would have been dead. Up until they turned on her and tried to kill her. So I mean, and then he's the one who opened the doorways to the multiverses in the first place, right? He's the
yeah.
one who had to dream walk in order to try to save her at the end because she was going to be sacrificed.
Mm.
Why are people saying that he was inconsequential in his own movie?
Not inconsequential, but just not the focus. I think there is definitely a two ways to look at that, right? And I can see it. I can see that as a criticism.
Like, okay, in
Because his only
Winter Soldier,
storyline,
how is Captain America the focus? How is he the focus of it?
he's integral, I think, in Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
He's integral. Doctor Strange, but I'm talking from an actual character standpoint. Doctor Strange is integral in this for his powers. But what's his story in this? His story is literally they tried to do, he can never end up with the girl. But that story feels like it's just an added, it's almost a side story to this. It's not the emotional focus of the film.
You're talking for you though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. I get you. I get what you're saying.
Do you think that the story?
If I did, I would tell you.
What's that?
If I thought it was lacking in that area.
No. I'm not asking if you like. Let me ask the question. Do you think that the story with him and Rachel McAdams was just as prominent? You felt it was just as prominent in terms of the movie than what with the main focus, which was Wanda chasing America Chavez the whole time?
No, I don't think it was just as prominent. I mean, I think the story of Doctor Strange and his I keep forgetting her name.
Who?
I think that stretches over the
Oh, right. No, I just say Rachel McAdams because
I think that stretches over the first movie and then the what if that you discounted as
Christine. Thank you, Aaron, producer extraordinaire. Christine. Rachel McAdams. Sorry, go ahead.
I think that stretches over the first movie and the what if episode that you discounted as inconsequential and this movie. I don't think you really need to. I think it would be redundant if they tried to make that the main focus.
Yeah.
Yet again.
So, final thoughts on this, or final question this one's an open-ended question. I don't have an answer for this one. Originally, WandaVision was supposed to come out after Doctor Strange. And because of COVID, everything kind of shuffled. Like Doctor Strange was supposed to come out before. I can't possibly. I'm putting my creator hat on this, and I'm sitting there going,
I don't know if that's true. I thought WandaVision was supposed to come out before Winter Soldier. I mean, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, I thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to come out before WandaVision. I don't think this movie would not have made any sense.
Well, that was my question.
Yeah, but I don't think I've never heard that WandaVision was supposed to be after this.
Original release date of WandaVision. Now it says it now. If you type it in, it just comes up like to what the actual release date was. Let's see. Original release date of Doctor Strange 2. Not Doctor Strangelove. Come on, Google. What do you take me for here? The original was set for May 7th. So maybe not.
May 7th of what year?
2021, but let's see here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But didn't WandaVision come out in 2020?
January 2021.
Okay.
But I think they moved. No, see, they moved up WandaVision
later.
there. No, they did. They moved up WandaVision. WandaVision was supposed to come out later on.
Yeah, but it still would have been before May.
Yeah, the sequel was originally set for May 7th. I have to look that up. If you guys know it, put it in the chat of what was supposed to come out first or second. Because I thought I read something where it said that WandaVision was originally supposed to come out after. It was like an interview with Sam Raimi. And yeah, actually, wait, it's an interview with Sam Raimi, and they said that.
That
I'm gonna type this in.
So that would have
I'm
been.
gonna type this in. This is gonna be good. This is what we do here.
Well, we would have done it before this.
I just thought about it now. That's what happens, right? I mean, look, you
That's
got
what
some
we
stuff on
do.
the fly here.
I suppose so.
Come on.
But anyway,
Come on, I can find this. Oh, for the love of Pete. There's just ads. There's just ads constantly.
It doesn't seem like that makes any sense. Well, then they must have rewritten the film.
Well, that's my point, though. Like, how much, how much did they?
I can't imagine it would have made any sense to do that. It seemed like you would do a WandaVision show as ancillary material or preemptive material for Multiverse of Madness for your second Doctor Strange movie.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Well, like I said, I read something there.
Well, all that what if stuff hadn't happened, if all the stuff that goes into the soup there, then the movie would have made absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
Because if it came out in May of 2021, I think that's when did the what if stuff start? When did what if premiere?
Shortly. I mean, in 2021 also.
Yeah, I'm sure 2021, but when?
I think it was immediately after. All right. Well, this is us getting our ducks in a row as we record this thing.
What if started in August? So if it came out in May, then it would have made no sense. So,
I'm telling you, I think that's what ended up happening. I think they pushed it back because of COVID, but then also once they did that, and then they had to move up WandaVision because of everything that happened in general. I think it completely changed everything. And my thought being is, what the heck were they planning on doing?
Well, and it was obviously going to be something drastically different because if it comes out before WandaVision and before What If, then the whole movie makes absolutely no sense.
And it was going to come out before No Way Home then too.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
Interesting.
That theory doesn't make any sense.
Interesting. All right. What did you guys think? Chime in on the Facebook feed. Chime in on the YouTube feed. This has been an amazing show. This is a jam-packed show. This is one of our longest ones in a while. I feel good about that. I feel like we've given, the content-hungry masses something to chew on.
It's been delayed because of COVID.
I don't know. I don't think it has. This show is going to be completely different originally.
Yes,
and then we rewrote it.
It was going to be a complete show without Multiverse, and then Multiverse came out, and then suddenly that was what the show is. So what would the show have been like without the Multiverse of Madness?
It would have been like
what we have to understand. Huh?
It would have been the one. We would just been killing each other.
Yeah, we talking about the one, and how you're interested in seeing it, but you're probably.
I now want to see the movie though. I think you've done it.
You got like 10,000 kids. You're not going to be able to see. They're
getting older. It's getting better. Do you know what my son actually said to me too? He says, "Dad,
I'm moving out.
We have not watched enough movies. I have not seen enough movies yet." And I said,
"Pretty awesome."
He's 6, and so I said, "Yeah, you're right, actually."
Because most movies you can't see because you're 6.
Right. I said,
"Show him Ozark.
I want to watch more movies with
you."
Show
your son Ozark. Did you finish watching Ozark yet? Okay.
This has been the Rogue Wave podcast. Coming up next week, half the creative team behind Seal of Fire, which is a brand new novel. Actually, it's a novel broken up into different parts. Hassan Godwin is the cover artist. James Massia is the creator and the writer. He will be on next week talking about Seal of Fire Emergence. Got to tell you, unbelievably cool concept, very well written book, and we will have some sort of brilliant tie-in to help guide the masses. So if you like this, you will like Seal of Fire Emergence, which is coming out on Rogue Matter and the Rogue Matter app. Again, go onto the iOS store, go onto the Android, download the app, join the movement, go rogue, roguematter.com. We will see you all next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.